Every year, our city puts on a spring cleanup where people can put out a pretty much an unlimited amount of garbage and have it picked up for free. Now, you're not supposed to put out any electronics. They go to the recycling center, but not everybody follows the rules, and electronics end up out at the street corner every day, every year. I went out for a night and just picked a few things up. We're going to look at a few of them right now and see if I got any good deals. So I found this Samsung TV at the side of the road. It was a spring cleanup where everybody's throwing out trash, and even though you're not allowed to throw out TVs, I actually picked up quite a few things. I picked up a receiver, a tape deck, this TV, a big old radio, big old like 1920s radio, which I'll restore at some point. The cabinet looks like crap, but the radio itself, hopefully everything's complete. It's got a giant speaker about 15 inches across on it. That'll be a work in progress. You might not see that one for a while, but I just put it in my storage unit. I'm just going through some of this junk so I can see what's fixable and what's not. I say there was a couple TVs out. This was one that I grabbed because it was kind of small, and these ones are typically pretty good sets. So let's plug it in, turn it on, and see whether it does anything. So power on this is down here, I think. See if it'll turn on or if it's completely dead. Oh, I heard sound. Is this thing actually going to work? Did someone throw out a TV that's fully functional? You got to be kidding. You got to be kidding. Someone threw a TV out that's fully functional. I don't have an HDMI cable plugged in, but let's try the source for this. I think I got a remote control that works here. I don't know if there's any batteries in this thing or not. Check the batteries. Uh, 0.9 volts. I think the batteries are 1 volt. Yeah, I think the batteries are weak. Garbage. Pro sheet. It says best of installed by March 2023. Okay, well, it's March 2022, and they've been in a remote control that is not being used. So, hey, go figure. They've just gone dead a year ahead of when they said they would. At least they're not leaking yet. Let me find a couple new batteries. I should have a couple kicking around here somewhere. All right, let me see if the source button works now. Is that a scratch on the screen? Nope. Source. Well, that part works. So I'm just gonna go to TV and see if it'll pick up programming. Cable. Maybe the tuner's no good. I've got it hooked up to cable. Oh yeah, that part's working. How about sound? I don't hear any sound. Is it just turned down? Oh, there's sound there. DTV cable. It's scanning for digital and then going to analog. These are just some of my analog channels that I've got. This is a new channel that's just on TV, that just came on TV recently, called Story Television. Cool, let's just do an auto scan on this thing and see what channels it picks up. So, I don't think there's any air. I'm not hooked up to a cable that's got any digital on it. I have a couple different feeds throughout my house. I've got a cable that just has analog channels, and I've got a cable that's got both analog and digital. I'm pretty sure the one that comes into the shop is just the analog only feed.
Sure, he's dead.
So yeah, this set appears to be working. I'm just gonna kill the sound here.
And the forensic evidence in
Don't want to play that on, but I just got my local stations coming in on my analog cable. I haven't hooked up a digital cable to this. I was going to go and hook up the antenna to it, but I don't feel like digging through a maze of wires and splitters looking for the one marked garage to hook it up to the multiplexed output. This is just coming straight off of the standard modulators output, because this typically is just used to feed TVs that are not HD. So I've got my 4 channels. They're on modulator. The rest of them are or digital channels, but it's I don't have the digital feed coming in here. Let's hook up HDMI and see how that works. Well, there it is. HDMI 1 is working. And I can tune in my cable box here to whatever channel I want. Oh, don't have that one running. So it's working. So someone tossed out a perfectly good working television. I guess if there's a silver lining here is I actually got the base for it. Most people don't keep the base. They toss the base in the garbage. I've got more TVs that people have given me that work, but I have no way to set them up because I don't have the base for them. You know, they hang them on the wall, and the first thing they do is they toss the base in the garbage and then don't think about it. Then when the TV gets taken out of service, they don't have a stand for it. Anyway, I think I did okay. It's a 40-inch set. I got it for free. It's looking great. So I guess we'll close this one down and we'll look at the next gadget that I also found at the side of the road, and we'll see how well I did on that. So let's move on. So this is the next piece of crap that I got from spring cleanup. This one here may end up going right straight to recycling. It combines a 5-disc CD changer along with 2 cassette decks, a tuner, amplifier, all in one. And yes, it's designed to look like separate components, but it's everything all in one. Just absolute crap. The only reason I even considered picking this thing up is that there might be some parts in here that I could use. So let's plug it in and see if it works. And then I'll decide what I'm going to do with this piece of crap. As I say, this one here looks like it's been sitting out in the rain. I mean, it really is in really sad shape. Okay, this thing's got power. Don't even know how to work it. Let's see here. Tuner band. Tuner. FM. Tuning. Hey, radio works. Maybe this thing works. Wouldn't that be something? Wouldn't that be something if this thing totally worked and it just looks like it was in a war? So to access the CD on this unit, what do I gotta press? There's gonna be a button for CD here somewhere. How do you turn this thing on? Function. Phono, video, tape, CD. Okay, let's open the CD tray up. And it's a carousel type unit. Oh, that one looks like it's broken. Maybe not. I guess not. That's just how it looks, but it's just very, very dirty. Oh, it's checking for discs. That's what it's doing now. It's looking to see if there's any discs loaded in it. So, I guess first things first, we'll get the air compressor out and blow all the dust out of it. Let's see what flies out of the thing. I'm going to stand back. Well, it's playing a CDR, no problem. Oh, okay. So it's skipping. So we have a pickup problem probably on this one. So it does have a problem. I just don't know whether I should even take this thing apart. Maybe we'll take this thing apart just to see what's in it. So I'll pull this one apart. We're gonna see what's inside this, just how bad it really is. I mean, I really am not planning on spending much, if any, time on this thing. It was something I found at the side of the road, and I grabbed it more for parts. I'm thinking motors for the tape decks, for example. We've got good motors in here, then I can certainly make use of them. And well, it looks like that pickup is skipping, so maybe the spindle motor is bad, or the optical pickup's bad. But let's just pull this piece of crap apart, see how bad it looks inside. Smells pretty bad too. Now these were as cheap as you could get. It didn't matter what the brand. All these mini systems like this, these compact systems, they're all pretty cheap inside. They're all pretty much cut from the same mold. Doesn't matter what brand you bought. They're all, well, you'll see once I get it open. They were built to sell for a specific price. But there were some mini systems that were actually very good. That flat one that I've got, for example, which got the CD player and the mini disc recorder, that one was actually a good system, but it also was a very expensive system when it was new. That one sold, well, it retailed at $2,000. Something like this doesn't retail for anywhere near that price. One like this is probably like a $500 package with speakers. I don't know. I wasn't in the sales side of things when one of these would have been new. But this was made in Indonesia. Probably be one of the first products that Sony assembled there. I don't even know what year this is, but I'm going to guess in the 90s sometime. Never really had the privilege of working on this crap myself. My assistant got to deal with this junk. So there's the inside to this one. You can see how cheap this one was. Single motor for both tape decks. This was, again, as cheap as they got. It's using a, what's the amplifier on this one? SDK 4231 Mark II. So that might be worth keeping. Tooth belt that drives the CD player. But that pickup is skipping. Just want to see how the tape decks are. I'm sure the belts. It's a 2-motor system. One for the capstan. It's got a capstan motor here. It's got another motor here. I think that's the control. I just wonder how the belts are. Do we dare try a cassette and just see what happens when I put a tape into it? So deck A is the playback side. I don't think it's going to work, but you never know. Doesn't sound like it's doing anything. Well, that one doesn't work. How about this one? Tape decks are shot. Mechanism is probably jammed up. So this was the auto reverse double cassette deck. This motor here I think is the one that controls the mechanism. It's not a reel drive motor. The reels are driven from these belts. There's belts in here that drives the reel. Belts look to be actually okay on these ones. They're square belts and they're not broken. And it looks like both the flywheels are actually turning. So for a change, the belts aren't bad, but the mechanism itself is not raising the head on either side, so it's probably gummed up. I can feel this motor spinning, but it's not raising or lowering the tape head. It's trying to raise it because now it's not ejecting, and I have to kind of pop it out, so it's oh, the head is up now. So the cam is stuck. But this thing certainly isn't worth putting any time or effort into. But there certainly could be components in here that I probably should gut it or hang on to it for components. The motor itself certainly is something that will be definitely usable at some point. So whether I pull the motor out of here now and scrap the rest, that might be the smart thing, is just to pull the motor, pull the amplifier board, and just hang on to the amplifier board with the IC on it, because you never know when you're going to need an STK4231 Mark II, and this one's working. So it might be wise to hang on to that, just gut it, pull that, pull the take this whole block out, and got the rest of it, pull the laser pickup. It's skipping, but it might be something other than the laser that's causing it to skip. That may be useful. It's probably a KSS 240. And pull the motor out and just scrap the rest of this thing, just because it's in such poor condition that even if it was working, something like this you couldn't even give away. Nobody's going to want something that's been abused like this. So maybe that's what we'll do. We'll just tear this thing down and see what I can get out of it. So we'll start by unplugging the power transformer. I've cut the power off, so I don't have to worry about that now. We'll take the power transformer out. That might be something worthwhile hanging on to as well, because one never knows when a power transformer will come in handy. And this has probably got some nice, half-decent voltages off of it for different projects, so we'll hang on to the power transformer. At least it's easy to take the transformer out. Just a couple screws through the bottom here. Holes cut in the board just for it. If you're wondering why the picture looks like it looks right now, because I had somebody make a suggestion that I should shoot something in 24p at 24 frames because they thought it would make my channel look more cinematic. So if I look like I'm strobing, it's because I am. I don't think you'll be seeing me do many others in 24 frames. Because I normally shoot in 60 progressive. That's the mode that I've been using for the last couple of years. So power transformer just unplugged, so we'll take that out. Got to push a little pin in here to remove it. Okay, so that's a heavy transformer. It's a Matsushita. What are the voltages, does it say? Well, we can figure that out easy enough. I can just put some power to here, but maybe it lists what they are, doesn't. Anyway, we'll explore that at a future date, see what the voltages are off this big bruiser of a transformer. And this thing here weighs about, this is about 12 pounds. So next I'm going to pull the amplifier section out. We'll keep the amplifier section. I'll pull the laser pickup and the cassette deck portions, take the motor at least out of it. And then the rest of this thing can go off to the recycling center. This thing smells like piss. And I'm sure it was sitting in a garage and some animal whizzed on it. It just stinks. That's another reason why it's not going to get fixed. Okay, now I think there might be one more screw back here. There we go. Now, bet you the connections back here are starting to fail too, like on all of them. These are really bad for developing bad connections. Anyway, I've now got the amplifier and the main board for it. I'll kind of just hang on to that. I'll keep it attached to here. Maybe I'll just undo the pins here, but file the part away, but we know that this one's good, so I'll hang on to the STK4231 Mark II because you never know when one of these is going to come in handy, and they're getting very difficult to find. Power cord is always worth keeping. Now, how much further do I have to tear this thing apart to get to the laser pickup on this? It should be right under here. It's right down here, I can see it. So if I take out the screws that hold the clamp in place. I might be able to get to it without having to take the whole deck apart. I want to take out as few screws as I have to on this. And then tomorrow, off it goes to the recyclers, minus some parts that can be useful. Oh, that doesn't come apart. I thought that was going to come apart, and it didn't. So I guess I actually have to remove this from the bottom. Oh, yeah, that's cool. It's got a hatch that comes off. Okay, well, that might make my life a little easier. Just take off that hatch, and hopefully I can access the whole pickup. Cool. There's the whole CD assembly. Nice bugs crawling around on here. Servo board and entire pickup. Looks like I can drop one screw and this whole thing should pop out. There's one screw up here. If I drop this screw, this whole chassis should lift out. And that's what I'm going to grab. Now we'll lift out just like that. That out. Unplug it from over here. There we go. It's a KSS 213. That's the pickup that we just salvaged. So I'm going to hang on to the pickup. I'm going to hang on to the whole block. And last thing we're going to salvage out of this unit is I'm going to get the motor for the cassette deck and the belts. I'll harvest out the belts too. Because one never knows. The belts themselves don't appear to be shot, so they may be okay for something. Careful for the circuit board. Careful for the circuit board. 5-volt regulators. I think there's some 5-volt. These might be 5-volt regulators on here. So if they are, I'll grab those as well. Put the odd screw back in just to hold this thing together. Now that I've bent the crap out of it. Good enough. What do we got in here? This is a 7812 and a 7805. Excellent. So, and a relay. There's a relay down here too. So we're gonna grab a few more parts from this unit before totally trashing the rest. Pull the board off the back. It might be easier just to pull the board off the back and grab it that way. I can still see people cursing these units that had to fix them. Okay, so there's 2 screws, and that motor should just lift right out. Oops. I don't know whether I need to bother with the DC motor or not. This is just the one that operates the gears and stuff, but I will pull the belts because the belts look to be in good shape. They're not turning to goo. Belts look to be in really good shape. See that? So I got 4 belts and a motor and a laser pickup and a transformer and an output IC, and next we'll harvest the regulators. Nice Matsushita variable speed motor, as you can see. I think I need to unsolder these. The solder's already cracked around the regulators, so they just pulled right through the board because the solder, I looked at it, it's like, oh yeah, that's put in there well. The solder was already cracked. Another regulator here, it's worthwhile grabbing. A 7807, that's a 7-volt regulator. Cool. So I got a 7812, a 7805, and a 7807. There we go, nice sealed in Omron. Is it Omron? No, it's a OEG 24-volt DC coil. It would have been nicer if it was a 12-volt coil, but beggars can't be choosers. It's a 24-volt coil. I think I've got everything out of this unit that I'm going to need, that I'm going to want. I'll keep this, even though there's never any need for a matching transformer. I'll hang on to it just for the sake of hanging on to it. And I'll put just a few screws into the back just to kind of hold it together so that I can take it up to the recycling center and drop it off and send the rest of it off for recycling. I got some more stuff that I picked up. I got a couple of VCRs, a fancy VCR, and a couple of run-of-the-mill VCRs. I got a receiver and a few other goodies. So we'll take a look at those in the coming days and see if I scored anything more that works. I got a TV that worked. This sort of worked, but I didn't want it. It's worth more for the salvage parts than the unit itself is worth to me. So yeah, we'll take a look at some more of the stuff that I found on spring cleanup. Before I close this one, I thought maybe you guys might like to see what type of voltages this transformer I scored puts out. So let's hook it up and measure it and see what we get. Now remember, the transformer is an AC transformer. There will be multiple windings on this. So let's just start and see what different voltages we can get. I put insulation tape around the primary side just for safety. So here we have 42 volts and 84 volts. So this is a center tap, 42 volts and 42 volts with 84 between them. Cool, that's one winding. And if we go into ohms mode, we can measure that's one winding there, 1.4 ohms. There should be a winding here, 1.5, 1.7, 2 ohms. See, this is one winding, and this is probably another winding over here, 1.3. So there's actually 3 distinct windings. So we got one winding here, right? That's one winding. This is another winding here. with a center tap. And this is also a part of the same winding. So this will be a center tap here, 1.7, 1.1 ohm, 1.1, and 1.7. So this is a center tap here for 1. We'll mark these. I can find my marking pen. No, I got one here somewhere. This is going to be a center tap. That's a center tap, that's a center tap, and this is a separate winding by itself. We know that from just measuring, because I've got resistance, right? I got resistance here, but I have open there, power on. So center tap, we got a 12 volt winding and a 17 volt winding, 12 volt winding, 17. So between these two we should have 24 volts, which we do, and between this one here it will be 34 volts with respect to the center tap. This one here was 42 volts and 42 volts with respect to the center tap, and 84 volts, and then this other winding by itself, this is a 5 volt winding. So that's that. So that's my score of a transformer. So let's just label them accordingly. So we've got, what did I say it was? 42. So we'll do this 42, 0, 42. (42) 0, 42. This one's a 0 here. And it was 12 and 17, right? 17 and 12. So 17, 12, 0, and then the next one is 12, and then 17, and then this is 5 and 5, because this is dedicated winding. So there's my transformer. Cool. And I say it's a fairly heavy transformer. So to buy something like this would probably be $50 at least. I think I paid for this other little transformer that I've got here that I used for a project. So this is an 18018 transformer, and I think I paid around $40 for that. Now I've got a big bruiser that 200 watt Class D amplifier that I've got could actually take advantage of it, because I think it can use 42 volts. I only ran it at 18, but I can take advantage of this because this, of course, has got a substantial amount of voltage. Just what we needed. Anyway, that's my score. That's why I ripped this thing apart, because to me, the parts out of that junk unit is worth more than trying to fix the thing and give it away. And that's what it would end up being. It would end up being a giveaway. Nobody's going to buy something like that. Even giving it away would be tough to get rid of it. But parts-wise, worth a lot more than that to me. All right, thanks for watching. We'll catch you in the next one. Bye.